think the flipped classroom approach does to the perception of the structure of the unit?
I think it can be challenging for students when you're using the flipped classroom approach. I think you still need a very clear structure of the unit, and you need kind of learning objectives so students know what they're meant to be getting out of each class, and what will be relevant for the exam and assessments, presentations, everything like that. Because I think when the class becomes more of a conversation, it's easy to get lost in the conversation and go off on tangents and not really, I don't know, I could imagine if I was trying to teach a class, I would not be staying on track if I was trying to do a flipped classroom. So I think it could be very easy to lose the structure. So as long as there's learning objectives and all of them are still covered in each class, and you know the weekly topics, how they relate to each other, because you sort of know why you're learning that particular theory or why you're talking about a particular concept. So I think that is probably a drawback of the flipped classroom approach, the fact that it is easy to lose structure. And it also depends on, I think it depends on the lecturer as well, or the tutor, because to me, it seems like the very structured lecturers wouldn't be willing to try a flipped classroom approach because maybe they're more traditional in their teaching style. They're not as comfortable with, ambiguity and dealing with questions on the spot, stuff like that. So, maybe that's part of it as well, that the more flexible teachers are the ones using the flipped classroom approach, and because they're more flexible in their teaching style, they're not as structured. So does that sort of make sense?
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the nature of the flipped classroom obviously invites a lot less structure, and that's inevitable. The challenge and I like what you said, Georgia, about the tutor and the lecturer, because it's definitely up to them to, it's kind of like you're driving a car and it's going all over the place, but you got to have some wiggle room so you can have valuable discussion, but you're still on the right course, right? Not being so perfect to make all the right turns on the GPS, but you can have that freedom to explore different routes, but also end up at the destination you want to go, which is whatever you're trying to understand. And one thing I wrote down is what the flipped classroom is very good at doing is helping people understand and apply content as opposed to just know content. So if it's just a one-way stream of communication from the lecturer to the students, they can take in information, but they don't understand it unless they go ahead and do their own further research by themselves. And it's not going to be as fruitful if there is, even for that conscientious student who's doing their own study, it's not going to be as fruitful as having a discussion with the lecturer. So I think it is going to invite a lot less structure, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
My 2 cents are, well, I remember being quite frustrated with the first half of the course, thinking there's no structure whatsoever. I don't know how I'm supposed to be studying for the exam. Don't even know what the exam will be like. How do I prepare for it? And I remember even asking in one of the lectures, I was so confused by that point in the course. And then it I hadn't really understood that whole flipped classroom approach up to that point. And then it clicked after that. And I was actually, no, this is all about reflection. It's all about developing skills practically. And once I could appreciate that, then my whole, my attitude changed to the course, and my understanding of the course changed. And I could appreciate the sense of structure within the topics rather than as assigned content, which is what I was used to from other courses. It was structure through topics, and the topics had a very logical order as well. And it was interesting because I was reading an article this morning about the online lectures and how universities were debating whether or not they should keep online lectures or go back to face-to-face lectures. And my grandfather wanted to talk with me about it and get my opinion. And I was saying how face-to-face lectures are much more engaging than online lectures, but online could be so much more efficient and productive. But both of them were just very disengaging in general. Whereas you come into a subject like this, and it's the most fun I've had in any of my uni subjects, and just able to really just set your own agenda, especially in tutorials.